Good morning. I am Mary Grace Labarijas and I'm currently studying here at Bonbon National High School. I'm from grade 11 section Assertiveness. So for today's video, we will discuss about asexual and sexual reproduction. So before that, what does reproduction mean? So basically, reproduction is a process by which organisms give rise to offspring. Organism is any living system that functions as an individual entity. An example for that is kita as human or ikaw. So ikaw, usapod ka offspring or supling sa imong parent. But through what type of reproduction were you made? So there are two types of reproduction. First is the asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So what does asexual reproduction mean? So in asexual reproduction, it only requires one parent. When you say one parent, dili na siya makinahanglan og other parent para makaproduce sila og offspring. And also, in asexual reproduction, offsprings have 100% the same chromosomes as the parent. So it means that one identity ra. Kung unsa ang naong sa parent, mapud ang naong sa ihang daughter or offspring. There are several types of asexual reproduction. First is binary fission. So what does binary fission mean? So in binary fission, every organelle is capped and the organism is divided into two. So basically, an organism is divided into two and only one identity. So it means kung unsa ang naong sa parent, maupod ang naong sa iyang offspring. An example for that is bacteria and protists. So let's proceed to the second one. So what does budding mean? So in budding, there is a new individual develops from an outgrowth of a parent. An example for that is hydra. And the third one is regeneration. Regeneration occurs when a body part has broken off and the organism grows a new one. And the fourth one is fragmentation. So how does fragmentation work? So in fragmentation, there's a single parent that breaks into pieces and regenerate into whole new individuals. We also have what we call plant cuttings or vegetative propagation. So what does vegetative propagation mean? So, vegetative propagation is a type of asexual reproduction in plants that relies on multicellular structures formed by a parent plant. It has long been exploited in horticulture and agriculture, with various methods employed to multiply stocks of plants. Examples of organisms that produce asexually are the following. So let's move forward to sexual reproduction. So what does sexual reproduction mean? So in sexual reproduction, it requires two parents that shares one half each of the genetic information. And by that, offsprings share the characteristic of each parent. Sexual reproduction happens in two ways. First is external fertilization. So what does external fertilization mean? So basically, external fertilization is the fertilization of an egg by a sperm outside of the body of a female parent. And usually, both eggs and sperm are released into the water to protect the egg from drying out. External fertilization is most common in aquatic habitats, where both eggs and sperms are released into the water. Fertilization can begin once the sperm reaches the egg. Fish, frogs, and starfish reproduce externally by releasing their eggs into the water and releasing the sperms over the secreted egg. And externally, the female lays the eggs while the male fertilizes them. Let's proceed to internal fertilization. So, how does internal fertilization work? So, internal fertilization is a fertilization of an egg by a sperm inside the body of the female parent. It occurs most often in land-based animals, although some aquatic animals also use this method. Reproductive strategies or methods after internal fertilization. First is oviparity. So what does oviparity mean? So in oviparity, fertilized eggs are laid outside the female's body and develop there, receiving nourishment from the yolk that is part of the egg. Oviparity, in other words, is egg laying. And the second one is ovoviviparity. So what does ovoviviparity mean? So in ovoviviparity, fertilized eggs are retained in the female, but the embryo obtains its nourishment from the egg's yolk, and the young are fully developed when they are hatched. So basically, ovoviviparity, in other words, is egg carrying. And the third one is viviparity. So what does viviparity mean? So basically, viviparity is the young develop within the female, receiving nourishment from the mother's blood through a placenta. And also the offsprings develop in the female and it's born alive. Viviparity, in other words, is live burying. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of asexual reproduction? So one of the advantages of asexual reproduction is that it produces more offsprings. And also, asexual reproduction takes less time and requires less energy. And it only requires one parent, so no searching for mates. And the disadvantage of asexual reproduction is that same DNA being passed down. So it means that no genetic variation into the offspring. And one of the disadvantages is that if the parent has genetic disease, offsprings will have it too. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of sexual reproduction? So the advantages of sexual reproduction is that it has a lot of variation in offspring. And also, organism is more protected because of the genetic variation. So, one of the disadvantages of sexual reproduction is that it requires two organisms. So, you must find a mate. And also, it requires more cellular energy. And the last one is, in sexual reproduction, it required more time to develop the offspring.